Okay, let's be real. We're all drowning in information, right? You've got articles, reports, books, endless videos. I mean, how do you possibly keep up without getting totally lost in the noise? Well, the answer is a skill that's more critical today than ever before: the art of the summary. In this explainer, we're going to break down how to distill all that complexity into pure clarity, turning information overload into your secret weapon.
And, calling it a survival skill isn't really an exaggeration. Just think about it for a second. Whether you're at work, you're in school, or you're just trying to stay informed about the world, you are constantly being bombarded. The ability to quickly and accurately grab the core message of anything is the real difference between confusion and comprehension. It's all about working smarter, not harder, to get right to the heart of what actually matters.
So, to really get good at this, we have to start with the why. What is a summary, really? And what are we actually trying to do when we make one? Getting this part right is the foundation for, well, everything else that follows.
At its absolute core, summarization is exactly what you see here, creating a shorter version of a text by focusing on its main points. Now, the key words there are shorter and main points. This is not just about randomly deleting words. No, it's a really thoughtful process of identifying and extracting. You're basically like a gold miner, sifting through all the dirt and noise to find those nuggets of core ideas and leaving the rest behind.
So what's the end game here? Well, it's about way more than just saving time, even though that's a huge benefit. A good summary simplifies complicated topics, making them easy to digest for you and for anyone you're trying to explain them to. But here's the secret benefit most people totally overlook. Summarizing actually helps you organize your own thinking. The act of forcing yourself to put something into your own words makes you understand it on a much, much deeper level. It's kind of like a test of your own comprehension.
Now, just like a painter has a bunch of different brushes for different effects, we have different types of summaries for different purposes. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of skill. Understanding this palette of summary types lets you pick the perfect tool for whatever job is in front of you. So let's take a look at what we've got.
Okay, this table lays it all out perfectly. Let's walk through them. First up, the descriptive summary. Think of this like a movie trailer, or that little blurb on Netflix. It tells you what the work is about, its main topics, but it doesn't give away all the key findings or the big plot twists. Next, the informative summary. This one goes a step further, kind of like the abstract of a science paper. It gives you the key arguments, the evidence, and the conclusions, so you know if you need to read the full 30 pages. Then we have the evaluative summary. This is where you not only summarize, but also add your own judgment. Think of a book review that tells you the plot and then tells you why that plot was so brilliant, or maybe why it was flawed. And finally, the executive summary, which is an absolute powerhouse in the business world. It's designed for busy decision makers who need the bottom line and they need it fast to make a call. The big takeaway here is that your purpose, it always dictates the form.
All right, so we know the why and we know the what. Now it's time for the how. This is the practical, step-by-step process for crafting a summary that is accurate, concise, and effective every single time. Let's dive in. Here it is. This is our roadmap. These 6 steps are really the bedrock of good summarization. We're going to start with understanding, then move to finding the key points, and then we'll focus on the writing and polishing it up. It's a really logical flow that makes sure you don't miss anything important and that your final summary is clean and professional.
Step 1. I know, it might sound super obvious, but you would be shocked at how many people try to skip it. You simply cannot summarize what you don't understand. This isn't about just skimming the words, it's about active reading. You have to really engage with the text. Ask questions as you go. What's the author's main point? What's their evidence? If you rush this step, everything else you do is going to be built on a really shaky foundation. So, once you have that solid understanding, it's time to put on your detective hat. These 6 questions, who, what, when, where, why, and how, they are your essential tools. They act like a filter, helping you cut through all the less important stuff to zero in on that core information. For a story, it's who are the characters and what's the plot. For a research paper, it's what were the findings and why do they matter. This is how you find the skeleton of the text. Now, this next step is huge. This is where you really show that you get it. Simply copying and pasting key sentences, that's not summarizing. That's just quoting. The act of paraphrasing, of restating the author's ideas in your own language, is what forces your brain to actually process the information. It confirms that you've really grasped the meaning. And of course, it's absolutely essential for avoiding plagiarism. This brings us to a really critical discipline, staying neutral. A pure summary is just an objective report of the source material. Your job is to be a faithful messenger, not a critic. Just look at the difference here. The author explains, simply states a fact. The author brilliantly explains, inserts your opinion. You got to save that for an evaluative summary or maybe a review. For a standard summary, you have to take yourself out of the equation. Okay, theory is great, but let's see this thing in action. Here's a short story, I'm going to read it out, and as I do, try to use those detective questions we just talked about. Who is this about? What happened? Why is it important? Sarah was just 12 years old when the storm hit her town. The skies were dark, and the wind howled all around her. As the power went out, she realized that the older people in her neighborhood might need help. She ran door to door, checking on her neighbors and making sure they had food, water, and warmth. With the help of her friends, she even set up a small shelter in her family's basement. When the storm finally ended, everyone agreed that Sarah had saved lives. And here's the final product. Let's break this down against our rules. Does it capture the main points? Yep, Sarah, storm, helping neighbors, creating a shelter. Is it brief and focused? Absolutely. It cuts out all the descriptive stuff like dark skies and howling wind. Is it in new words? For sure. It's clearly paraphrased. And is it objective? Perfectly. It doesn't say, the heroic Sarah or her amazing efforts. It just tells you what happened. This is a model summary. Okay, so we've got the process down. But knowing what to do is really only half the battle. Just as important is knowing what not to do. Mastering any skill means learning from the common mistakes. And with summarization, there are a few traps that are super easy to fall into. Let's look at how to sidestep them. The number one pitfall by a mile is making your summary way too long by packing it with little minor details. Remember, a summary is a bird's eye view, not a street-level tour. You have to be ruthless. Before you include any detail, ask yourself this one simple question. If I took this out, would the core meaning of the text change? If the answer is no, it does not belong. The second trap is leaning too heavily on the original text. A summary that's just a string of quotes, well, it isn't really a summary at all. It just shows that the writer might not have fully processed the information. So, here's a challenge for you. After you read a section, put the text away and try to explain the main idea out loud or on a separate piece of paper. This is how you build your paraphrasing muscles. We've touched on this, but it is so important that it's worth saying again. The temptation to inject our own feelings, our own analysis is strong, but you have to resist it. A summary's purpose is to faithfully reflect the source, not your reaction to it. Always keep a clear line between reporting and judging. A summary reports, an analysis judges. You have to know which job you're doing. And here are a few more quick-fire pitfalls to watch out for. Don't scramble the order, try to follow the original structure. Watch your length. About a third of the original is a really good target. Double-check that you haven't misunderstood a key idea. Keep your language simple. Your goal here is clarity, not trying to sound smart. And finally, use transition words to make sure everything flows smoothly from one point to the next. So there you have it, the art and the science of summarization, from purpose to process to polish. And this isn't just some academic exercise. It is a power tool for learning, for communication, and for critical thinking in every single part of your life. So the only question left is, what complex idea are you going to make simple? Go out there and create some clarity.